Mercury will be in retrograde from July 18th through August 11th. Now, this retrograde this time around, okay, is not going to feel as harsh as the last retrograde in Pisces. However, we are in heavy retrograde energy, so I'm sure, we all probably will get some energy confused with Mercury. The retrograde that is going to kick us in the butt will actually be Saturn retrograde, which is also happening right now as Mercury is in retrograde. Okay, hooray, hooray. However, Mercury itself is not going to be so harsh. Okay, Mercury is not going to talk to many other planets while in retrograde, so we are fortunate enough to have at least that. Okay, there are two aspects that happen while Mercury directly to Mercury while Mercury is in retrograde. Okay, there's a conjunction with the sun. All right. And then at the beginning of the retrograde, there is sextile energy to Venus. Okay. So it's not, it's not any terrible aspects or things that, not square energy, right? There's no square energy to this retrograde. It's just sextile, which is opportunities that will present themselves. That's not good or bad. It's just opportunities, period. And then a conjunction is working together with the sun. The sun is coming in, and shining a light on Mercury, and we got to figure out what that is. Okay, so there's really only two aspects that we really need to worry about in Mercury retrograde. Hooray! Now, Mercury retrograde is going to bring opportunities, right? Because every retrograde has its purpose, okay? So this retrograde, Mercury being in Leo, is going to bring opportunities to kind of refine your creative activities or the things that you do, the things that you take pride in, how you think about things. This could be how you perceive things, like how your mind can be a bit dramatic, or how your mind can be creative, how you can refine that energy. Okay, it can be around how you've shown up to communication or how your logic is processed, based in ego and pride. Opportunities to kind of reflect, restructure, or repair energy as it relates to how you communicate, and the pride that you communicate in, the ego that you communicate in. Okay, this will bring opportunities for us to reflect on, repair, restructure, energy around us showing up as if we know everything, right? We have all the answers. We just know, because Leo energy, my pride, my ego, I just know. I'm wrong, though. You're wrong. What are you talking about? You're wrong. I'm right. It's opportunities for you to kind of take a step back and change your perspective. Okay, so this is the energy of Mercury retrograde in Leo. Okay, those Leo attributes, which is pride, ego, charisma, creativity, drama. All right, and how your mind is processing based on those attributes, right? That is what's coming back to us in retrograde. So let's jump right into the signs. Again, I'm going to do my whole spiel. This will be most accurate if you look at this based on your rising sign, okay? Because this will encompass where this energy will show up in your life, okay? But if you want to look at this from your sun or your moon sign, your sun sign would be in relation to your perspective, your focus, your attitude, your ego, and your pride, okay? And if you're looking at this from a moon perspective, this will be reflective in like your home, your internal security, your instincts, and your intuition and your emotions. Okay, so that's how you will process it. But your rising sign, right, is most accurate to understand where or what will be popping up. Okay, so let's jump. All right, Sagittarius. So Mercury is going to be going into retrograde in your ninth house of Leo. Okay. So Mercury is going to be working on your ways of expansion, discovery, exploration. All right. And this is the courage that you have within that realm. This is how you show up and express yourself, your creativity. This is your pride, your ego, and your arrogance within that realm of life, within exploration and discovery. And while Mercury is in retrograde, it is going to be talking to your seventh house. Okay. Mercury is not going to be, doing too much. We already have a whole lot going on with Saturn retrograde. Mercury ain't gonna be doing too much. All right. Thank God. Mercury is not going to be doing too much. There's only two aspects, but this conversation is going to be between your ninth house and your seventh house. So your house of exploration and your seventh house, which is your house of your partnerships. This is your long-term bonds, your marriages, your relationships, your business partnerships, your legal partnerships, lawsuits, agreements, all that stuff. Enemies. Okay. So with retrograde popping into play on July 18th, right? Mercury on that same day is going to be in communication with Venus. Okay. So Mercury and Venus are going to be having a conversation across the way. All right. Venus is in the seventh house. So Venus, the ruler of relationships and partnerships, is in the house of partnerships. Okay. And it's in the house of Gemini. So this is really specifically about your mindset around your long-term bonds, what it is you choose to create there. All right. This could be legal matters as well. This is marriages. This is, best friends as well, right? Like not even just straight up romantic relationships, but these are the bonds that span the test of time. Okay. So with Venus being in this seventh house, the planet of relationships and partnerships, in the house of relationships and partnerships and deep bonds, Venus is having a conversation with Mercury in the ninth house, right? And the ninth house is exploration and discovery. Ninth house also rules over a second life partner. All right. So Venus is in the seventh house, and Venus, and I'm going to go with the second life partner aspect of this, right? Venus is in the seventh house, right? And Venus is like, this person really wants another long-term relationship. They're really looking for another long-term relationship. And, Venus being peace, love, abundance, how can we give that to them, Mercury? How can we give them the relationship that they want? And Venus is working on your mindset, your mind frame. And Venus is like, look, there are some things over here as it relates to the mind that this person may need to work on, right? Their perception of their relationships may need a little bit help. Their perception of their relationships might need a little bit of processing, right? And now Mercury, ruler of Gemini, right, is in the ninth house, and Mercury is like, all right, cool. So let's expand on this. Let's bring in some teaching lessons. Let's provide something from the past, right? Something that has already happened. Let's provide some opportunities for them to rehash some things, right? In which they maybe have, operated out of pride and ego, or could have used their charisma, creativity to create this link or destruct this link. Right now this link comes back in your life. So maybe this is somebody from your past, right? Venus is talking about wanting a life partner. You've already been through many long-term relationships, and this is a person that maybe in the past you rejected, right? For whatever ideologies that you have, whatever you were thinking, how you were thinking about your long-term relationships. Venus is like, look, this is what they want. And I think I know the person, but you're going to have to help them understand better how they discover, how they explore their ideology around relationships. You're going to have to help them. So Mercury reels in somebody from the past that you rejected that would actually be a fantastic match for you, right? And now you guys are back having conversations, right? You guys are back, communing and talking about what happened in the past. And little do you know, this is your second life partner. Yeah, right. It's, oh, let's create a friendship now, right? And now all of a sudden you're back in the throes of a connection with this friend who you once rejected. Right. And now it looks a little different because your perspective has changed. You've gone through life. Right. And now you are a little bit more limber in how it is that you think about exploring your relationships. Right. So that's that sextile energy that happens on the 18th. And then on the 31st, okay, there is going to be a conjunction between Mercury and the sun. All right. And that is going to happen in the 9th house. However, Mercury and the sun already had a conjunction this year. Guess where that conjunction was? In the 7th house, where Venus is sitting right now, right? So Venus is already giving information, a little bit more updated information than what Mercury and the sun had when they passed through the house at the end of May. Okay. So now we're at the end of July. This is 2 whole months later, right? Things have developed, right? So now Mercury and the sun are in the 9th house, right? And they're having their conjunction. Now they already know what happened in the 7th house, what energy was there when they passed through it at the end of May and talked to one another then. And now they're in the 9th house and they're having another conversation. And now the sun is coming with the sun's flashlight and it's like, look, this is what I found. The sun has traveled from the 7th house to the 8th house into the 9th house. The sun is like, all right, these are the relationships that they've had. These are the relationships that they transitioned away from. And here's how they can possibly improve from that. Here's how this is something that they can focus on. I think I have an idea on how to clean house here. Here is another circumstance in which could help them, Mercury, because, you know, I just came from over there. And, you know, there's some things that need to be cleaned up in addition to what Venus has already said. I done seen some stuff. I done traveled ahead of Venus and I done seen some issues with transitions and transformations as well. So I think that we also need to point at, you know, them exes in the past that they tried to transition on from, right? And maybe we need to kind of bubble up some of that energy so they can reevaluate that as well, because I think that also will help them understand why it is. So now the sun and Mercury are having a whole conversation in that 9th house, communicating again, already having communicated before where Venus is sitting. You see how that conversation is 3 planets here. Well, 2 planets and a star, but you know what I mean. They're communing. They're having a conversation. Look, this is how we fix it. So now retrograde is now popping up this energy from the past. You know, you got past relationships, people you done moved on from. This could be, you know, law as well. This could be, you know, a legal issue that you thought was completely done. Maybe you thought you lost the case and somebody was like, look, I can help you win, right? And now it's bubbling back up again, right? There is an energy around exploration, law, ethics, discovery, ideology, and you processing through that information. And Mercury, Venus, and the sun assisting you in pointing at how your perspective, how your attitude, how your communication, how your ideologies play a part in you attaining what it is that you want. All right, Sagittarius, hope this reaches you well.